What time is it? It's MLS Fantasy time. Happy game week 12. Everybody, I hope your game week 11 went well. We're going to talk about mine in just a moment. Normally, I kind of pre-prepare a little bit of like a script, or not really a script, but just kind of have like an idea of what I'm going to say going into the video. For the intro today, I do not. I don't. So this is going to be very eclectic, all over the place. I apologize for that. I decided I wanted to get the video out a little bit early before I had a chance to really do anything. So what we're going to do today is basically just go over my team, go over how my game week went, and then I'll actually try to do a little bit of just a short preview for the coming week, talk about like what teams on a bye, important things to know. Then we're going to do the tier list. Here's a sneak peek at the tier list, and after that we're going to come back and I'm going to build my team, whatever my current draft things I'm thinking are, and then we'll call it quits there. So let's go ahead and get into my team. Oh, and Pancake is here as always. She's sitting right over there. What's up, Pancake? Pancake. Hey. She's hanging out. All right, so here's how my game week 11 went. I got 115 points. It was 114 before points correction. So this is a little bit of a frustrating week in a way for me because if you've been watching, you'll know that I've been really struggling with defenders, finding defenses that keep clean sheets, things like that. And so, of course, the one week that I actually hit on a defense is the week where I kind of fumble everything else. So we'll start with the goalkeepers and move on from there. I took Alex Bono in net. This bench, by the way, is just terrible. Just terrible. We're going to talk about in a little bit for the coming week. I'm going to try to not change my strategy, but refine my game plan a little bit. And this bench is kind of a prime reason why I want to do that. Tomasi and Araujo were not good picks. Away defenders from bad defenses, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought Tomasi would maybe price rise because I was pretty confident in my starting defenders, and that did happen, but really in the end it doesn't matter all that much. Bono, I think just from the early game goalkeepers, none of the options were great. He was the one that I liked the most, who wasn't too expensive. He didn't really work. Obviously, Tomasi and Araujo didn't work at all. Although I did hit good on Vancouver, I was very confident in the Vancouver clean sheet. I'll tell you what, if they did not keep that clean sheet, I would have been on tilt. It was like a few weeks ago, I went all in on the Charlotte defense for a clean sheet. That didn't work out, and I was pretty upset. This would have been like that times 10. So I'm very happy that Vancouver did keep the clean sheet. I will say after the first half was over, there was never a moment where I felt afraid during that game that the clean sheet was going to get broken. So Vancouver, very solid defense. Veselinovic, Blackman, Takoka all did well. Brooks Lennon got 3. He's, as far as defenders go, still he's got a good floor, but for those actually like good returns, anywhere from a 5 to a 10, it's not happening super often. It's a little sporadic, but still, 3 points. It's for defenders, that's not so bad. It's whatever. Let's get on to the midfielders. Carlos Hill. I know last week I was talking about starting him. I ended up benching him in the end. It didn't really make a difference. I think I wanted to have a shot at being able to take Ryan Gauld, but it didn't really end up working out at the end because neither Tomasi nor Araujo hit. Hill kind of ended up around his floor. I was super sure he wasn't going to get anything less than like 5 points, and I was right, but he didn't really get much more. But I will say, just in general, New England were a lot better this game than I have seen them recently. I think it helped that they were playing Chicago, and Hill could have had a goal once or twice and an assist. So I'm a little disappointed that he only got 6 points, but I don't think it was a bad pick by any stretch. Santi didn't quite work out. I don't think he was in my video last week in that draft, but he ended up popping in. Evander ended up not playing, so that may be why. Only got 3 points, kind of disappointing. Thiago Almada, he's definitely found his floor. I don't really see him putting in hardly any, if at all, anymore, like 2s, 3s. It should all be 4s, 5s, and up. So he did find that floor at 5. Still, he didn't do anything more than that. Atlanta were not very good. Acosta scored the goal like less than a minute in, got 9 points. That was a pretty good pick. Messi had, maybe the greatest performance ever in an MLS regular season game. Doesn't make a difference for fantasy because everybody captained him. If not, I'm very sorry. Christian Arango got 7 after points correction. He was on 6 before, so that was good. 7's not too bad, but for the amount of bonus points he puts up with a goal contribution, I would have liked to see something a little bit more. Buonga was my biggest miss of the week. I am holding a grudge. I am very, very disappointed. He was the worst pick I made that week. if Buanga can't score away against San Jose, he's not going to score away against anybody. The home versus away Buanga thing is beyond the point of proven. It's crazy. It's crazy the levels to which he's underperforming away from home right now. So not happy with that pick at all. I do hope that you weren't affected by the Facebook login error this last week. If you didn't know, if you set up your account to log in with Facebook, you were not able to get into the game. You still, as of time of recording, are not able to get into the game. Allegedly, they're working on it. I mean, they are working on it, but I don't know what the fix is going to be or if that's in sight. So if that did happen to you, that just sucks, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope you weren't affected by it, because it's really just a bummer. And I think that's about all I want to say for the last week. For this coming week, a lot of interesting matchups. Of course, the schedule is very condensed. Only one Sunday game, no early day games on Saturday. The team with a bye is... what is it? It is Minnesota. Minnesota are the team on a bye. So if you need to get scrubs, there's a lot of 4 million scrubs from Minnesota. We'll talk about the schedule a little bit more in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and get onto the tier list. So as always, if a player is not included on the tier list, it is either because they're injured, I am just really not interested in them, or I forgot them. I don't think I forgot anybody this week, though. I'm pretty sure I've got it all, but we'll find out for sure in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into the goalkeepers. Semmel, not sure how to pronounce it, the Philadelphia backup keeper, is very budget-friendly. He's only like 4.9, something like that. Blake is out. I'm not sure Blake has been injured, and he really shouldn't have been playing with the injury he's had, but he did, on social media, express some disdain, it seemed like, towards maybe Jim Curtin or Philadelphia or something like that. So I kind of think that also had something to do with him being dropped and not as much the injury. But either way, Semley's in. Very budget-friendly keeper. It is an early game that Philadelphia do have against Orlando City. So honestly, I think a pretty good shot at a clean sheet. I know Philly are kind of hit or miss right now, not too great, but they do have a good chance at a clean sheet just based on how poor Orlando have been. Carlos Cornell, I think, is a very good option this week. The odds keepers actually have New York, again, at the highest chance of a clean sheet. They kind of just default to them every home game that they have for some reason. And New York have kept some clean sheets at home, but so it's against New England. That's who they're playing. And on paper, it does seem like a locked in clean sheet, not a hard matchup. I do think that New England they showed signs of improvement against Chicago, so I wouldn't be so sure. And New England do keep a lot of the ball. The Red Bulls do play a lot off the ball. Excuse me. I'm not sure who that benefits. I mean, I think, tell you the truth for sure, I think the Red Bulls are going to win, but I don't feel as confident in that clean sheet as a lot of people do. I do think they have a good shot. I think Carlos Cornell is a very good option, but I don't think it's 100% done deal. Sean Johnson this week for Toronto, definitely also a good option from the early games. Toronto's playing, it's New York City FC. New York actually have a terrible away offense. They've only scored one away goal this whole year. So definitely a good shot at a clean. Toronto's home defense has been pretty solid anyway. Hugo Lloris from the late games is, I guess, I'll just call him a fun punt. For your keeper, Rue, you do have to take a late game keeper. Amongst the options, I think he's the best. If you want to gamble with an 8:30 keeper, if you have a 6:30 central starting goalie, you can. I don't like the 2-hour window. I think it's a little too risky. I prefer the full 3 hours so I can see the game fully completed. From these games, for me, Lloris is the best option. I don't know if it's Lloris or Lloris, by the way. I think it might be Lloris. Honestly, if you want to try Crepo from Portland, I don't think that's the worst idea, even though Portland's defense has been terrible. It does seem like Neville is going to shake things up this week, and I kind of give them a weird chance, but it's not a play that really makes any sense. Lloris is definitely the best option. Christian Kalina, also I'll probably put him in fun punt as well from the early games. Charlotte is hosting Nashville. I know Nashville did very well against Montreal last week, but their away form isn't as good. Charlotte are kind of hit or miss at home, but If you want to give him a shot, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I actually really like Drake Callender this week. As far as away goalkeepers go, he's definitely my favorite. Miami is traveling to Montreal. Montreal, like I just said, were very poor last week. Miami's defense has been a lot better, and Montreal still have the injury issues with their attack. I like Callender, and I like Miami defenders this week. This is the first week, I think, maybe in a while, that I've really I like them. I don't think they're quite as trappy as they have been in the past. Martin Paz, also a good option. FC Dallas are hosting Austin for the rivalry game. Austin have like by far the worst road XG in the league. That being said, though, rivalry games do typically tend to have goals, and Dallas's defense has really not been that good. But I think I'm actually talking myself into a fun punt. Maybe he makes more sense as a fun punt. He's somewhere on the line. Roman Berkey, I think, is a very good option this week. I'm targeting Chicago. I have been for the last 2 weeks to kind of mixed results, but they are traveling away to St. Louis. They are just about as poor away as they are home right now. Excuse me, my throat's getting sore. So I like Berkey. I like St. Louis defenders. They've held a lot of clean sheets at home, and again, Chicago still have all the injuries. They're still Chicago. Wagner, I think, is going to be S tier this week. Philadelphia have a very favorable matchup at home. Even if they do not keep the clean sheet, Wagner's going to get a lot of good attacking touches, going to get a lot of chances on set pieces. I think he's a must-have this week. I really, really do. Lennon, I think I'm going to keep him in S tier, but this is the closest he's been to good option in a while. It is another home game for him, and if y'all been listening, you know how strongly I feel about Lennon. But if you want to fade Lennon this week, I kind of don't blame you. That being said, it is another home game for Atlanta. They were kind of poor last week, but I still think Lennon's very well worth owning. Borderline a must-have. Totland, I think, is a very good option this week. Again, Chicago. Markanovic, same thing, Chicago, but actually he's more budget friendly. He's like 6.4. There's actually been a few games this year where Markanovic has put up a lot of bonus points. I haven't really been able to correlate, like it's not like he's getting more at home versus away or anything like that. They've been sort of random. So, it's not like he's going to pop off or anything consistently or like it can be predicted, but it is possible. Very good budget friendly pick from that St. Louis defense. Tafari, probably a fun punt. I actually like him the most of any of the FC Dallas defenders. He does very well on the bonus points. Last week, especially, he put up like 3 or 4 almost bonus points. Just super, super solid. Junqua is probably number 2 for me from FC Dallas. He is on some set pieces, though. I know people like that more, but that doesn't quite translate to the bonus points the way that Tafari does. Plus, Tafari is also a set piece threat. So I like them both, but I will say I give the edge to Tafari. If you want to have a punt on Dallas defense, I definitely don't think it's a bad idea. McGraw is definitely budget friendly. He's super cheap. He's like $5 million. If you want to pick a late game defender that isn't from LAFC, who again to me is kind of the best of the bunch, I think you should go McGraw. His bonus points have been very solid recently. If you've been keeping up with me the last 2 weeks, you know that I've been putting a lot more stock into a defender's bonus points versus their clean sheet chances. I don't think there's hardly that much of a shot that Portland do keep a clean sheet, but as long as Seattle don't put up, like a ton of goals that kill him in the points category, and if he starts, because it does seem like Neville's going to shake stuff up, but if he starts, he should be good for like a 3 or 4, probably just around there. But if they keep the clean, then you're actually looking at a really good score. If you need a late defender because your bench didn't work out, something like that, I actually think that he's a really solid option, especially for the price. Maxo from Colorado, probably a fun punt for me. Colorado are hosting San Jose. The Earthquakes, I don't think, have been shut out on the road this entire year, which is pretty impressive. Their attack is scary. They are transitioning right now from being a basement dweller spoon team to being, I think, just kind of a chaotic team. They're going to concede a lot. They're going to score a lot. That's going to be their identity. If they can get there, then they're not going to be good, but they are going to be dangerous. Definitely a bogey team and one to look out for, not bet against. But Colorado have been just very, very solid. They do leak some goals, but if you have confidence in them, they do also have the 8:30 time slot if you want an 8:30 defender. Maxo has done good with bonus points recently. I think he's a fun option if you want to go down the Colorado route, but I do think it's risky. We've got Long from Toronto. Probably, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll probably put him in good option. That makes sense to me. I think, again, Toronto's defense is pretty solid. It's a matchup that just makes sense. There isn't really like that much of an asterisk to it. Long is the best Toronto defender for bonus points, assuming Marshall Ruddy's still hurt. I really like Long. He's just a very solid option. Tolkien, I think probably also a good option this week. Maybe budget friendly because he's still hovering in like the lower 6 millions, I believe. He is back on some set pieces, so you do have that threat. And New York Red Bulls do have a good shot at a clean sheet. So if you are taking a New York Red Bulls defender, I would definitely go with Tolkien. Here's one that was brought to my attention today in Discord that I hadn't noticed or thought about at all. Nicholas Frere from Inter Miami. The last like 2 or 3 games has put up insane bonus points. Crazy. The last 2 games, I think in a row, he's gotten 3 passing bonus points each game. I believe over the last 4 games, he's put up 11 bonus points in total. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. If he was home, I would put him in S tier this week. But since he's away, it's got to be a good option. Even if I think Montreal at maximum score 1 goal, and if Frere keeps up with the bonus points, then it should be good for a 4-pointer at least. Really, really like Frere this week. Let's get on to midfielders. Rojas, I think, is a very fun punt from Inter Miami if you do want to bet heavily against Montreal based on Inter Miami's crazy form and Montreal's injuries. Also, just some drama in the front office recently, some dysfunction. It really makes sense to go with Inter Miami this week. Rojas had a huge coming out game last week. I'm not 100% sure about his minutes, what they're going to look like. But if you do want a Diego Gomez replacement since he is hurt, Rojas is pretty much doing that right now. Pretty good option, not too expensive either. Thiago Almada, very good option this week. Like I said earlier, his floor is just very, very solid. No reason to doubt it. We'll see. I think that Atlanta are going to struggle with the DC United press this week. They definitely struggled with the Minnesota press. That didn't really kill Almada's bonus points, so I don't think it will again this week, but I don't really expect fireworks out of him. I mainly just like him for his floor. Mukhtar, probably good option this week. Maybe Fun Punt makes more sense. Because Charlotte, like I said, are kind of solid sometimes at home. He had a huge game last week for Nashville. Disappointed I missed out on that. But he's still adequately priced as well. Definitely a fun option if you're a Mukhtar believer. Emil Forsberg, I think, is a very, very good option this week. He should get a lot of good dangerous touches against New England. New England are a team that have struggled against the press as well, so I think Red Bulls could really give them some trouble. Plus, he's on set pieces, penalties, all that good stuff. Really, really like Forsberg this week. Morgan is going to be my first maybe, but probably not for this week. I felt this way about him a few weeks ago. It's just, he seems alluring because of stuff he's done on the past. When he and Forsberg are on the field together, he just isn't as effective. He's not on penalties anymore. His minutes can be a little bit suspect. If you want to double up on the Red Bulls attack, then, he's the guy to go with on that double up. I just don't see it. I would at most call him a bench play, but I just don't quite see it. I don't quite see it. Gazdag, almost tempted to say S tier this week, but not quite. He's going to be a good option. So Julian Carranza is out with yellow card accumulation this week. So Gazdag will probably be playing higher up the field. Last year in fantasy, that was bad for his bonus points numbers and stuff like that, if I remember right. It's not like he's a prolific scorer anyway. I think actually it could hurt his chances of putting up a good score this week. Hopefully, Donovan just starts up there instead and Gazdag gets to play like the 10. Either way, Orlando are really bad right now, and I just, no matter what Philly's situation is, Gazdag is still a very, very good option, even if what his role is going to be and how that's going to translate is a little up in the air. Lucho Costa is going to go good option. I think I might have put him S tier last week, but this is a very tough road matchup. They are playing Columbus in the Hellsville Derby. Columbus are just very solid. They keep the ball a lot. I think they're going to get a ton of possession this game since they're going to try to play on the attack, on the counter. I don't think Acosta's going to put up a lot of bonus points, to tell you the truth. Maybe he gets a goal, maybe he gets an assist. I don't think he's ever scored on Columbus away. So I don't quite like him as much as I have recently, but he's still Lucho Acosta. He's still a good option. Santi Rodriguez, I'll probably drop down to like fun punt this week. He's just such a good player that you can't write him off. If you want to take him this week, if you're a big Santi fan, take him. But I do think Toronto are very solid and New York are poor on the road. Carlos Hill is maybe, but probably not. Probably just a lower tier. Probably doesn't deserve to be in this tier list. He is maybe becoming a little bit fantasy irrelevant. It just doesn't seem like he's getting a lot of the stuff that was counted last year in the scoring system that gave him a lot of points isn't there anymore. And he's definitely suffering for it. It doesn't help that New England are substantially worse, but away against the Red Bulls, they are going to keep a lot of the ball. He should be good for some passing bonus points, but aside from that, I don't think he's worth it, especially at the price. Espinoza is a guy who I've been betting against a lot recently, and I've been wrong just about every time. He's a monster right now. Bonus points monster, assist monster. Very, very good option. It seems like no matter who they're playing. If you want to take SB, go for it. Cole Bassett, I think, is a fun punt. His bonus points have dropped off a little bit recently. I'm not quite as high as I was on him, I think, maybe 3 weeks ago. But, San Jose are pretty open at the back. I'm not sure if Mihailovic is going to be back this week or not. Not sure how that's going to affect Cole Bassett's points anyway. He's playing pretty high up on the attack at times right now, so he's getting in good goal-scoring spots, putting the ball in the back of the net too. I just don't quite love his bonus points to put him any higher than Fun Punt this week. Ricky Pooch is S tier. I mean, he's still got one of the best floors in the game, still a monster. Lock him down for 5 points at least, no matter what. I don't care who they're playing right now. I'm taking Pooch just about every time. Paintsville, I think, is a fun punt. He is a little hit or miss. A lot of wingers this year in the game are kind of hit or miss. Hey, if he hits, that's pretty good if you want to take him. If not, maybe as a bench play, he would make the most sense. I probably wouldn't start Paintsville. Gomez, that's Andres Gomez from Real Salt Lake. Probably a fun punt this week. LA Galaxy's defense is pretty rough. They are playing Galaxy in LA. He'll definitely get some good chances, some good touches. He's been pretty dangerous recently. Salt Lake in general are just super dangerous. Very, very fun team to watch right now. If you want to go with Gomez, again, probably I would say do it as a bench play. I wouldn't. Oh, actually, no. They have the later game time. Forget that. I actually totally forgot about that. Forget what I said about Paintsville too. Always, start the later game guys. So if your bench hits you can scrub them out. So forget those things for any of the late game guys I said that about. So if you want to have Gomez as your kind of placeholder, if your bench hits you scrub him. If not, it is what it is. You've got a good chance at getting something out of it. Then good option. Evander, probably going to put him in S tier if he starts this week. It seems like he is going to be healthy. I'm not sure how that's going to translate to his minutes. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to go 90 or not. We will see. Evander's lowest score he's put in this whole year is still like a 6 or 7. He's been on borderline MVP form when he was healthy. You can't bet against him. It's a home game. We'll see what happens. Seattle are pretty beat up. Yamar's going to be out for a few weeks. Evander, very, very good option, especially since he has the late game. You can kind of just leave him in your starting lineup. If your bench hits big, you can scrum. If not, you've got Evander. What can you complain about? Messi is S tier. It's Messi's world. We're just living in it. Bouanga is, even though I'm very pissed at his return last week, he's still a good option. He is at home. I will say, though, this is the lowest, I think, this year that I've been on Bouanga at home. I think Vancouver are a tough matchup. I really do. Not just because their defense is so solid, but the way that they set that defense up, I think is going to limit Bouanga. They're not going to get as many chances in transition either. I'm putting him good option because he's objectively a good option. His home form is stellar, but I will tell you, personally, if I have a strong opinion on this, which I kind of do, if I don't want to be the reason that you fade somebody that your gut told you to pick. Don't let me be that reason. Always go with your gut. And Bouanga is so obviously a good option that he is a good option, but I will tell you, I think he's going to blank this week. I'm not going to put him down, and maybe, but probably not, because it doesn't make sense, but I'm tempted to. I think Vancouver's a tough matchup. I think he's going to have limited chances. I don't care that he's at home. I think they're going to struggle. We'll see. If he does good this weekend, then it is 100% every week Bouanga is at home. S tier, S tier, S tier. Forget about it. This is a big test for Denny Bouanga and LAFC. We'll see if they're up to it. I am not so sure. Pancake, don't do that right now, please. Pancake. Thank you. Chicho is... I think I'm going to stick him in S tier, to be honest with you. He did get the goal last week, got the 7 points, which is pretty good for his floor. They are playing LA Galaxy away. Like I said earlier, they have a poor defense. Chicho does play best, though, when he isn't playing behind Anderson Julio. So I will say if Crooks is still out or something like that, and Chicho's starting at the 10 behind Julio, honestly, don't take him then, unless you're really feeling something. Because all the weeks where that's happened, he just hasn't been as effective. He's best when he's playing at the top of the field. That's where he's getting in the best spots. So we'll see what happens, but... I mean, he's the second best player in the league right now, and he also seems to score in the games that you least expect him to. So Chicho's just, he's the man right now. Cucho, I'm going to probably put as a good option, maybe borderline S tier option. I do think Cincinnati's defense is very solid. There are going to be goals in that game. There just are. But I think it might be tough, and to me, it makes sense not to put Cucho all the way on the highest pedestal for this game. It's Cincinnati are just solid at the back. We'll have to see what happens. That game and what Cucho's going to do in it are a little bit of a question mark for me, but we'll just have to see. Still, he's Cucho. Very, very good option. I've got Navajo on here. Almost kind of just shout him out. Probably put him in fun punt. Against San Jose's defense is really poor. Navajo's been really good recently. Very solid. Very quietly putting together a great season. He's on pens. He's not really putting up a lot of bonus points, but if you want to punt on your bench on a home striker against a poor defense, he's there for the taking. He is right there. Jesus Ferreira is probably also going to be a fun punt. I'm not sure what his price is down to. It should be dropped a little bit. He might even be a borderline budget-friendly option. I'm not sure what his minutes are going to be this week. Austin's defense on the road, though, shockingly, has actually been good. They've kept a lot of clean sheets, but they shouldn't have. They're actually against is super, super high. Brad Stuver is just having an insane season right now. It's a rivalry game. There should be goals. When Jesus Ferreira really gets going, I think he's going to be a great option this game. At the beginning of the year, I thought he was going to be an amazing option before the injury crept up. But if you want to punt on him, I think it may be a few weeks early, maybe a couple weeks early. But if you want to try it, then there you go. Bernadeschi is probably played himself recently into good option status. He was incredible over the weekend. Had an amazing game. He's been brilliant all season. He has been best when Insigne is on the field, but he's starting to find his form now. Just playing by himself as well. The ball's starting to get in the back of the net. He did miss a penalty this game, but I believe he made the rebound. So he scored that screamer too. It was a great game for him. If you want to take him at home against a struggling New York City, then there you go. I think he's a fun pick. I'm not super, super high on him because I do think Kevin O'Toole's been pretty solid at the left back spot. That is who Bernadeschi is going to be up against. But I do still think that he's a good pick. Klaus, I think, is a good option. Maybe fun punt makes more sense just because he's scored 3 goals this year. That probably makes a little bit more sense for him. I don't know, but if Klaus is a fun punt, then honestly maybe Bernadeschi should be too. I'm gonna elevate Klaus to a good option. I really like Klaus this week. I really, really do. I was super, super high on him maybe 4 weeks ago it was. I went a week early on him. He scored the week after that. But Klaus is a bonus point monster. It's like a minimum of 2 a game. If he doesn't score, you're getting a 4 or 5. Which is pretty solid. If you score, then you're getting a big number. They're playing Chicago. It's Chicago. He was also very good last week against Houston. He's had several games this year where he has deserved to score. I don't know if they're going to start coming or not. Last year, he did massively overperform his XG. I don't know what his XG is this year, but I keep seeing him getting in spots and getting shots off. I think there's a good chance that Klaus has a good game this week. Suarez is probably going to be S tier right now. He had an incredible game last week. If you got him, pat yourself on the back. I really didn't see a lot of people up towards the top take him. So against that poor Montreal defense, what can you say? He's very, very in form right now. There were some concerns about the turf and whether he's going to play on the turf or not. I'm pretty sure the stadium they're playing at is not turf, so his minutes should be good. Suarez is just killing it right now. Giacomakis, probably a good option for me. Home game for Atlanta. He should have scored last game. His XG was like 1.7, 1.6, and he didn't quite find the back of the net. But I think he will soon. I still think he's basically the best 9 in the league. Very, very high in Giacomakis, pretty much always. Benteke, I'm going to say maybe, but probably not this week. Who is the DC play again? I know it's a tough match. Oh, it's Atlanta. I think Atlanta are going to finally have Gregerson back this week. He's a pretty big guy. I think DC are going to get chances, but I don't quite think Benteke is going to get on the end of enough or get enough bonus points where I think he's worth taking. I think there's a lot of better forward options this week. Last one I got is Surridge. I'll just stick him in fun punt. That's pretty much where all these strikers are going right now. Surridge had a massive game, got the hat trick last week. He if he's getting into form, then he is a good guy to stick on your bench. Take a swing on. Charlotte, kind of a tough one. They are pretty good defensively in the air, but if you're feeling it, then there you go. So that's the full tier list. Let's go ahead and get on to my team. We'll go ahead, build it, put it together. Sorry that my scrolling's slow. I've still got the cast on my right hand. It's slowing me down. Okay. I thought I had the autofill in here earlier, but oh, yep, there it is. One thing I've noticed about the autofill teams is they always stick Phil Quinton in. I don't know why, but go click autofill and see if Quinton's in there. I keep seeing him get stuck in. Let's get to it. Let's start with goalkeeper. For my late game keeper, I like Lloris the most. Just I think LAFC defense of the late game defenses have the best shot at keeping a clean sheet. So there you go. For a late game defender too, in case my bench defenders don't work out, I'll probably take Palencia. Just because he's cheap. None of the LA guys really. Well, actually, I guess Chanot does good on bonus points. So actually, I'll probably stick him in instead. And I did mention Zach McGraw earlier. He is, if he starts, I like his bonus points a lot. I definitely want to give him a chance. I'm going to go ahead and pick my Minnesota scrubs. I think I'm going to scrub 2 defenders this week, so I'll go with Marquez and Dodson, and then I've got one more. So I think. Oh wait, I understand. These are my. That was dumb. I put my kind of placeholder guys I'd scrub, and then I put the scrubs that didn't make any sense. Okay, I'll put in my actual guys I'm going to take. I'm taking Lennon again this week. I pretty much just take him every week, copy and paste. Definitely taking Wagner this week. Very, very high on him. I think he's pretty much a must-own. And then for my bench defender, I've been kind of split. Originally, I actually had Tafari there, but I did say last week that I was going to be, or I decided that I was going to be more disciplined. I'm hanging out right now just outside of the fantasy Champions League qualifiers. I think I'm not sure how to handle getting in, but I think it's worth trying being disciplined this week and not, because I'm always taking like away defenders and taking defenders from rivalry games, stuff like that. I'm not going to do it this week. I'm going to try to take a lot of home guys, take just guys that make sense that don't really have any asterisks. Tafari was in there. Again, it's the rivalry game. There's an asterisk there. I'm not going to do it. So I've kind of been between Totland from St. Louis. He gets a few bonus points sometimes. Like I think I mentioned earlier. Did Totland make it into this list? Yeah, he did. Okay. For a second, I thought I forgot him. And then also, since he was pointed out to me, I really like Frere from Inter Miami. There is a small asterisk there in that it is an away game, but I think since his floor seems so crazy high right now, I think he's worth the punt. So I'm actually going to stick. Are these midfielders? That's not what I want. I'm going to stick Nicholas Frere in there. I really like him this week. I think he's well worth the punt. And I think I'm probably just going to double down on early game keepers and maybe take Calendar. He's at a pretty good price right now. Although on all my drafts I've done this week, budget has not been an issue. First time that's happened to me pretty much this whole year, which is pretty nice. Not taking Rojas. There's a lot of other guys I think I'm a little bit more interested in. I'm not taking Acosta this week. I think that matchup's tough. I'm taking Pooch for sure. I'm taking Almada. I'm going to stick a Vander in here kind of as my placeholder midfielder. I like Forsberg this week. I think he's going to get some dangerous looks. And then I do like Gazdag quite a bit. I think Orlando is going to elevate his floor quite a bit, hopefully. I like Messi. Suarez, I guess I can't quite fit him in because I'm tripled on Miami. I will say, actually, my last draft, I didn't have him in anyway, although I do think he's very chalked in for a lot of people this week. Fading him is for sure a risk. But I did say that I wasn't going to be risky, and I think his minutes could be a little bit suspect, and he is away, and I'm trying to take as many home guys as possible, so I'm going to see if I can be brave and fade Suarez. We'll see if that ends up the case come this weekend. I'm not so sure, but for now, I'm going to take GG, and I'm going to take Klaus. I like it for the bonus points. I started 3 strikers last week. I think the 3 striker set is a little bit much. I think their floor is just too much lower than midfielders that it's not worth doing. So I'm gonna stick Gazdag in my starting lineup. And honestly, I would rather start all these midfielders than Klaus too. So I'm probably just going to run 1 striker this week. I think this is the first time I've done this all year. I did it a ton last year when the scoring system is different. And then obviously I'm going to cap Messi. So this is what the team is going to look like for this week. We'll see if come the end of draft at the end of the week if this is what's going to look like. Sometimes I do post later drafts on my Twitter. It'll be in the description if you want to go check it out. I post stuff in there kind of sometimes. I'm not super active, but more or less every week I'll post a picture or 2 of my team. So if you want to go check that out, feel free. Aside from that, that is going to do it for Pancake and I for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. I would also really appreciate that. I for sure 100% wish y'all the best of luck this coming week. I hope y'all have found something in this video that has helped you. Always go with your gut too. I would say don't let me be the reason that you miss out on somebody you really want to take. Don't have any regrets in this game. Have them all the time, and that's maybe the best advice I can give. Again, best of luck. I hope y'all get a lot of bonus points. I hope y'all get a lot of goals. And like I said, always go with your gut. Talk to y'all next week.